My family had never been where I'm trying to go. What I'm trying to do, my family wasn't normal to them. It wasn't common to them.
My business is not a business without a bunch of partners. We don't win unless we win together as a team.
If you're in business, get the monkey off your back and tell people what you do.
At the beginning, you get paid less than what you're worth. And in the future, you get paid more than what you're worth.
Focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
All right, David Farmer.
Look at you, my friend. How are you?
What is going on, man?
And it is great to see you, my friend.
It's been a little while, man. It's been a little while.
It has, man. It has. Congrats to all your success, man. Congrats to Jackson and I are so happy for you, man. Congrats on the new book. It's just it's fun to keep watching you win, man.
No, man. No, it's exciting. I mean, good things are happening. I mean, you guys are just exploding, man. I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on today, is because I mean, you're right there inching at the $1 million, and I'm sure you guys made $1 million. I mean, you guys make $1 million a year. You got a net worth of, I don't know, exceeding probably $10 million. You are building an amazing family, a couple boys, and really living a dream life. I mean, if I mean, we're going to talk a lot about that today, but that's why I wanted you on, because look, man, I admire you guys. I always have admired your success, your consistency, your boldness, your taking risks. I mean, you guys, come on, man. You were a cruise director, man. You worked on
Right.
cruises, man. So,
Right, man.
all right. So with that said, how'd you go from cruise guy to multi-millionaire?
Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean, if I'd have told you 20 years ago this is what it's going to look like, man, I'd have thought, man, you're crazy. Like you said, man, I worked on cruise ships for 10 years. I went to school, Daniel. Went to school to play baseball. I'm a baseball guy like you. I know you're a baseball guy as well. And I went to school really just to play baseball. I had no intentions on getting a degree or anything else. And ended up, the coaches told me I needed to do something. So I got a small little degree in travel and tourism, man. It took me 5 years to get a 2-year associate degree. And got off that, man. And then I actually moved from Ohio to South Beach, because back in the 90s, South Beach was where everything was happening. I got on cruise ships and did that for about 10 years. And it was awesome. I mean, I was a cruise director, man. So I ran all the entertainment, all the activities. My wife, Jess, where I met my wife, Jax, we traveled the world and did some pretty cool things, man. But it just got to a point where, we wanted something else, man. We wanted to grow up at some point, So we got off cruise ships and tried to, find jobs, and just, we had no experience in anything, man. I had a little Mickey Mouse, degree. Jax, my wife, dropped out of high school when she was 16, so people weren't really, giving us a bunch of shots to do something. And then we found this great company, man. We found this company. We found, it was just so awesome to let us do this together. And we just decided, I was 30 years old at the time, Daniel, when I started in the business. And at the time, everybody was telling me retirement age was 60, back then. Now retirement age is like 70 plus. That's how crazy things have gotten. And to me, I couldn't picture myself doing something for 30 years. The idea of just locking in and working for somebody else for 30 years just wasn't in my cards, So my mentor sold me on, man, you can go do something in 3 to 5 years that it would take you 30 to do somewhere else. And that's what we bought into, man. We bought into that so much. And for 3 to 5 years, Daniel, we killed ourselves, man. Just like you. I mean, just like, your first years in business, man, we gave it everything we had. But that first 3 to 5 years has let us enjoy the last 15 years of freedom, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, what you guys did, I mean, but do you think that came from, you putting in those years on the cruise ship? I mean, did any of that motivation come from that, or were you just like kind of partied out? Because I mean, obviously you were pretty much at a party every night, right? I mean, being in the cruise business, is that kind of the way it works? I mean,
Exactly. I mean, it was a pretty unpure life, man, back
yeah,
then.
yeah. So,
20s, we had
so
an
tell, I mean, do you have
unlimited.
any stories about that, man?
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
any stories
probably,
about?
probably not good to talk on this
No,
one
no, I
about
want to
those,
talk
but
about them all, man. I want to talk
we had
about.
unlimited bar tabs. I mean, it was a party, But
Okay, all right,
it just, it got to a point where I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it anymore. It was
right,
like,
right.
the littlest things started to disappoint me and make me mad. I mean, one day they told us to move our name tags from one side to the other. Just something simple as that. And I'm like, you can't control me. You're not going to control me. So little things just started to walk us away from that industry. But then I got into business, and I look back at it and I go, man, we got paid to create an environment, on cruise ships. So when we got into business, we didn't know anything about financial services, but we knew how to create an environment,
Wow,
and
that's
that's
big.
really
That's
what we
big.
did,
That's
and
big.
I look back at all those years of, working with people, and cruise ships, you were in sales, I mean, it was a sales thing back then, but I didn't realize it was sales, but it was. But then I get into business, and we just really tried to create an environment where people wanted to be part of. And that's what we did. And we learned the financial part on the way. We learned the financial, everything that we needed to know for the business along the way. But we were just fun to be around at the beginning,
How did you
It was
get
just that environment.
recruited? How did you get recruited? Like where did they prospect you? Because everybody says, well, do I got to talk to my family and friends? And so where did you get recruited, and who contacted you? How did that happen?
Yeah, I got off cruise ships, man. I'd lost my mom, man. I'd lost my mom suddenly, and we got off cruise ships and thought, man, okay, let's grow up now. I was 30, Jax was 25, and we thought, let's do something. So we got off cruise ships, moved back to Ohio, where I was from, and I got a job, she got a job, and we would go our different ways every day, and we'd get together about 6 o'clock at night, fight, go to bed about 10 o'clock, wake up the next morning, do the same thing over and over and over again. I thought, man, we did this and we were just married, Daniel. We'd only been married for about a month. And I thought, man, this is not what I signed up for, man. We've got to find something to do together. I mean, we used to live in a 10 by 10 box on cruise ships together, me and her. So we were used to being that close. But then then we got into, a guy called me one day, man. I remember putting my resume out and getting no luck. I mean, what did my resume say, man? I called bingo for 10 years, man, and taught the Macarena for 10 years, man. My resume wasn't much. But I wasn't getting no hits. Nobody was wanting me. And I didn't really want to get a job anyway, but I looked at other businesses. I looked at buying franchises and so forth, but I didn't want to spend a couple $100,000 and be in debt and never make money for 4 or 5 years. And then I got in Primerica, somebody cold called me, Daniel. I mean, they literally cold called me. And they just caught me on a great day, man. They caught me on a day like, I got nothing else going on. Let me go see what happened. So I went and met with the guy. And when I met with the guy about a year earlier, somebody that I looked up to in cruise ships bought me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I read it, I kind of got it, and I thought, man, okay, this is way different than the way I grew up, man. I grew up with employees. Man, I thought, man, okay, I want to run a business. I want to be in control of my life and so forth. So when I went to the interview, they were talking about the cash flow quadrant and things. I'm like, okay, man, I know that. Man, I had a friend of mine teach me the rule of 72. Man, I know that. So I started to see these things. Okay, now something just feels like this is the right spot. And so a guy cold called me, man. He literally cold called me, and he'd been in the business, Daniel, 2 weeks longer than me.
Wow. Wow.
And we neither one of us knew what we were doing, but I just went full time day one, man. I had nothing else going on.
Wait. You mean you went full time day one?
Day one, man. I was 30 years old, Daniel. I was 30 years old and just went all in.
Who does that? But why? Well, what did this guy tell you, man? I mean, what did he say that made you that excited, or whoever, I'm sure there was like some leader above him that kind of jumped in there as well. But like, what did they tell you? Why is it that you got it and so many tens of thousands of millions of people, they just don't get it? Right. What was it about the message? Because I'm very interested in this, because I really want to figure out the messaging. Why is it that somebody says yes and goes full time and goes all in, hook, line, and sinker, whereas somebody, like, for example, the other night, we invited a couple of young guys to the office, and they're just like so doubtful. They're
Right.
so unsure of themselves that they just almost like paralyzed. What's it, $124 to get started, and they're like paralyzed by making a mistake, like so afraid of making a mistake. They just can't move. I mean, you could see it in their face, you could see it in their mannerisms. They just are paralyzed. What's
Right.
the difference, man?
I think, might be just I grew up in a different time, man. I'm 52 years old, Daniel. I think, but I grew up at a time where we
You look
worked.
30, bro. You look 30, man.
I'll take it all day long, man. Me and you both, man. But I just think, I was ready to work, and I knew I didn't want to do 30 years. I knew I wasn't going to sign up for that plan. I didn't want to go work somewhere else. They told me, you can come here in 3 to 5 years, do what you can in 30. We were going to buy franchises, and we knew if we bought a franchise, we were going to be 2 to 3 years before we made any money there. So we just said, man, if I can get on the board of this thing, if I can start building a team, if I can start getting this thing, they told me, I could be a regional vice president in 2 years, and I could be making six figures in 2 to 3 years. And I just bought into that, man. I mean, there was no plan B for me at that point. I think people who have a plan B just plan on failing on plan A. And I go, this is what I'm going to do. And I told Jax, I go, if and Jax had a job, Daniel. I mean, Jax was Canadian, so she didn't have her papers. She couldn't work in the States, so she had a job working under the table for a buddy of mine in the mortgage industry back when mortgages were doing big things. And and she was paying the bills for a little bit while I was trying to get this business going. And we, it was we understood the struggle. We wasn't afraid of it. I think people today, Daniel, are just afraid. They're afraid to go backwards, man. And they're not taking any risk. I just thought the bigger risk, bigger reward. I thought, what do I got to lose? I go, if I'm gonna go do this for 2 to 3 years, if not, I'm gonna go get a job for 2 to 3 years. At least I'm gonna go work for 2 to 3 years and try to get ahead. And then Daniel, we became regional vice presidents in about 2 years. Okay. I made $11,000 my first year full time, made $28,000 my second year full time, became a regional vice president. When I became regional vice presidents, our income was right at 36,000, 3,000 a month. And in 12 months later, Daniel, we were making $30,000 a month.
Wow.
We went from 3,000 a month to 30,000 a month in 12 months. But if I wouldn't have fought through those first 2 years, Daniel, of can I handle this? Can I handle the rejection? Can I handle, being broke for a little bit? Can I handle? But I had a long-term vision. I had a huge vision for this thing. I knew if I could just get through 3 to 5 years, if I can get through 3 to 5 years, I knew I was going to have freedom on the other side of it.
Do you think that that's why most people don't make it, is because they just can't weather that first few years of sucking, right? Like really, really sucking. I mean, because look, let's be honest, right? You got a degree. Most people are watching this now. Granted, adjusted for inflation back how many years ago, that was more like 50 or 60,000 or whatever. But that you made that second or third year or whatever. But I think it's like people are afraid to weather that storm. Where it's like my first year I made 15,000, and I worked, man. I mean, I worked every day. I prospected every day. I called people every day. I mean, you should see my calendar, man. I mean, it was jam packed, my calendar. And so, but I was willing to make less now so that I had the opportunity to make a lot more. I tell people all the time, in the beginning, you get paid less than what you're worth. And in the future, you get paid more than what you're worth. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think guys today ain't willing to learn, Daniel. I mean, I looked at those first 2 to 3 years as learning. Man, I'm going to learn. I've never been in business before. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn how this works. I'm going to learn what it takes to build my own schedule, run my own time, run my own hours, all that kind of stuff. I had to learn. I looked at those first 2 years as paid training, Daniel. And most people today aren't willing to do that. If they're not, we live in this microwave world. If they're not winning big after, a couple months, then they think that this thing don't work, And I knew I was going to work somewhere for 2 to 3 years. I just knew I wasn't going to do it for somebody else. And today people think there's so many ways to make money. I mean, there's tons of ways to make money today. And people, these young guys think that they can make money doing all these different things, They got their hand in 8 or 10 different things. I'm like, man, you got to go do one thing. You got to go build one business first. Go make money. Go get wealthy. You and I, Daniel, got wealthy in one business first, right? We went and gave it everything in one, but and then we ventured out and did other things, But people don't want to do that today. They want it at 21, 22. They want all this stuff coming to them, all these different things, but they can never give any of them 100%.
Do you think
I was
that
willing to give us
social
100%.
media? Do you think that social media has a lot to do with like kind of, because we didn't have social media.
Right.
So maybe, just maybe, one of the challenges is that they're seeing these successful people in their face all day long. And most of them, by the way, is bullshit. Most
Right.
of it's not real.
Yeah.
It's fake. I mean, people are renting cars and renting houses. I mean, look at what just happened to Ty Lopez, man. I mean,
it's
Ty Lopez, he just got, I mean, they're like, what is it? $112 million lawsuit on this guy.
He's in trouble, man. He's in
trouble big time, man. I mean, he's in trouble. And so, but again, I think we all knew it anyways, because what did he ever build? What did he ever create? He never created anything. It was just on social media. And so like, where I used to always tell people, look, I mean, at least my business, maybe it's not a get rich quick scheme, but at least it's real.
Right.
At least it's actually like, I mean, you actually have to sell a product. I'm not selling you a kit. I'm not selling you like a coaching program. I'm selling you an actual opportunity to go make money, build a business with a reputable company, and get freedom, right? And get free.
It is, and I think you're right on that 100%. The social media has given these people this false hope that they all can make it, and even the ones who have made it, Daniel, on social media, like you said, I agree with you. Most of it's all smoke and mirrors, but even the ones that have made it, and are successful, no one saw the grind that they went through when they started. But the ones that really have success, they I guarantee you they were broke for 3, 4, 5 years. They grinded, 15, 18-hour days. No one talks about that because everybody sees the end product. Everybody, what do they say? Everybody wants the glory. Nobody wants the story, right? Nobody wants the story. Everybody wants the end result, but nobody wants to go through the work to make it happen.
And so what would you say? I mean, you have 1,800 licensed agents, man. I mean, that's pretty impressive, bro. I mean, that's exciting stuff. I mean, first of all, I just want to get a little bit of insight. Like, what does that feel like, man? I mean, tell me a little bit about how free does that make you feel? I mean, I think you have 32 locations or something like that. What does that feel like?
It's great, man, but it's 20 years. It's 20 years of work, but I don't discount what I did those first 3 to 5. If I look at my business now, Daniel, I'd say 80% of it came from that first 3 to 5 years. All my vice presidents, the people that are building right now came from that 3 to 5 years, or someone through that first 3 to 5 years. I always, Daniel, I'm a systems guy, and I know you are as well. I've always just felt, man, I've got to build a system because I don't want to do this forever. That's why you build a business. So one day you don't have to do it. They sold me on 3 to 5 years to do in 30. I wasn't going to plan on doing it forever, and I love it, Daniel. I'm still in it. I ran a meeting. I just had my audit today, Daniel, so before this call. So I'm still in it. I'm still in the game. I'm still running a base shop, still running an office, still pouring into people. But I believe this, employees get paid by the hour. Self-employed people get paid by the sale. Business owners get paid by their system. So I've always created a system for everything I've ever wanted in the business: licensing, recruiting, growing incomes, whatever it is. I've always created systems for it, and I think system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money, right? I've always said save yourself time, energy, money, what system stands for. I just, having 1,800 licensed agents has just allowed my wife and I to have a great life. I mean, it really has. I mean, made, right at 950,000 in income, Daniel, and 95% of that's all passive. I mean, really, it's all passive, but that was the intentions. I mean, that's the way we always looked at the business, that way, of one day, this is how it's going to end up. I never wanted to do the business and be like, man, 20 years from now, I'm still going to have to be in front of somebody. 20 years from now, I'm going to be in my 60s still having to do this. That was never the plan. So the systems I put in place back in the day allowed us to get where we are right now.
Yeah, and everybody sees that, and everybody wants that. I mean, what you're talking about right now is literally the dream. Yeah. You are living a dream life that everybody in America, everybody in Canada just wishes they had. And so I just want to make sure that everybody that's watching or listening right now, that I want to hit you one more time, that 3 to 5 years, that early on grind, that early on late nights, early mornings, all day long, rejection, failure, sacrifice, all that stuff is what created what he has today. And so please recognize that, because if you don't, you will fail miserably in anything you do, by the way. I mean, I was just talking to I do a Wealth on the Beach Club every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was talking to our group of teammates, and I was, just letting them know that, like, look, everybody has to do that. You don't get nobody gets a free pass in life. I mean, imagine if you were, I was up in San Francisco not so long ago, and I was by Silicon Valley, and I actually went by Steve Jobs' house, like where the garage is, and the whole yard is full with apple trees, by the way, now. And so it's pretty cool. Their family still owns it, and I think, I don't know who still lives there, but I think his family still lives there, or at least some of his relatives. But I'm thinking, when I was at his house, and I was thinking in my mind, like, imagine the late nights at that place. Imagine the early mornings. Imagine the thinking that you were, it never seems possible until it's possible.
Right.
And so how does, what does that bring you back? When you think about your past and the rejections, I mean, what kind of rejection did you go through? Who laughed at you? Who did you have, like, people that, that you really want? Because I know I had my names on my list. I mean, was there people that you really wanted to prove wrong? Were there people that told you couldn't do it? Tell us about that.
Everybody told me we couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I had a chip on my shoulder, man. I did. I wanted to prove people wrong. People that said I didn't have what it took, that this business wasn't real, whatever it is. I had a chip on my shoulder to prove people wrong. And that motivated me. I use those people as motivation, but no one in my family ever joined me in business. Nobody in my family ever became a client. None of my friends did. And I used to get so frustrated. And I started just thinking about it, really not too long ago. I thought, man, okay. I tell my guys today, I go, if your friends and family are giving you a hard time, I say, give them a break. And here's why. They've never been where you're trying to go. My family had never been where I'm trying to go. What I'm trying to do, my family, it was foreign. It wasn't normal to them. It wasn't common to them. So what I was trying to do was something that was crazy to them, right? But even though your family might not support you, whatever it is, you can't let them stop you. That's the difference. It's when you're trying to go somewhere, and it's so much easier for them to bring you back than you take them with you, right? I wanted to prove people wrong with my results. I wanted just to go win so big, Daniel, that everybody was like, I knew you could do it. And we've all said that. People go, oh, you can never do it. And then we start winning. Everybody goes, oh, I knew you could do it, And I, there's a little joy that comes with that. There's a little joy that comes with that. And I look at our life now, and I, but everybody had a chance, I mean, I told everybody about it. I told everybody what I was doing. And I don't care what business you're in. Everybody watching this, any business you're in, you have to tell every single person what you're doing. If you don't, then that's on you, right? I think about this. If you're in business, get the monkey off your back and tell people what you do. I think about this, Daniel. If you and I grew up together and we were friends, and then we went our side, I didn't see you for 5, 6 years, whatever it may be, and then we run into each other, and I'm doing well, and you say, hey, farmer man, hey, you're doing good. I heard you're doing great, and then I tell you what I did, and how I did it, and you tell me, well, man, why didn't you tell me about that? And here's how the conversation will go. It'll go, hey, listen, Daniel, I did tell you about it, but you told me you weren't interested. If that's how it went down, there's nothing I could do. Monkey's off my back. I tried. You weren't interested. Hey, but what if I just said, Daniel, I just didn't think you'd be interested. And you go, what are you talking about, man? It's exactly what I've been looking for. I didn't want to carry that. So I tell my guys today, I said, you're in business now. You got to tell everybody that you're in business. You got to let everybody know what you're doing. You're on social media and you don't tell people what you're doing. You're making a huge mistake right there. But I just wanted to make my life so attractive that people wanted to be part of it. And there's still other, you and I both know there's other levels. Yeah, we get to a certain level, but Daniel, there's way more levels that we get to, and I was talking to my guys yesterday. I said, there's levels in life, maybe, becoming a vice president, running your own office is a level. And then maybe making 100 grand is a level. And then maybe making 500 grand is a level. And then maybe making $1 million is a level. And then maybe making $1 million a month is a level. And then maybe making $1 million a day is a level, right? There's all levels. I said, the only reason you don't go to the next level is for a couple different reasons. One, you don't want it. You don't want it. Flat out, you just don't want to go there. Two, you don't see yourself there. And a lot of people, Daniel, can't picture themselves making $1 million a year. Or the third reason is you're just not willing to pay the price. I mean, simple as that. But there is another level. And too many people today I see get comfortable. I think 300 grand's a number that I've always heard people get comfortable at, 25,000 a month, because 25,000 a month, they can kind of drive what they want to drive, live where they want to live, those types of things. But man, there's got to be something that's going to stretch you. We're in a business, Daniel, that stretches us. There's always another level. There's always somebody winning bigger. And you got to live your life. And I didn't build this for other people to do that. But man, you've got to stay inspired. You've got to stay motivated. There's got to be somebody that's going to stretch you and push you to another limit.
Well, I think that you hit it. You got to keep stretching. You got to keep growing. You got to keep trying new things. You got to keep, expanding, because that's what keeps you young. And that's what keeps you alive. I mean, I think that, there's a lot of people that they're, 50 and 60 years old and they're dead inside, man. It's like, it's done. I mean, look at us, man. I'm 50, right? You're 50 and we look 30.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. I mean, if there ain't another reason to join our business, I mean, that's a great reason right there. I think our business keeps us young because I feel like it's a business that keeps you social. And I don't know if you ever seen the Netflix special on Blue Zones, but
where they live longer. The people live longer, right?
Living longer. So I'm a big longevity guy. I mean, I plan on living to 120 minimum. Probably by the time I get there, I'll probably end up doing like 150 because of all the technological advancements. I mean,
if anybody can do it, you can do it, Daniel.
I'm just telling you, man. I mean, it's like it's happening right now, right? I mean, I might be like have like bionic arms and robot arms or something like. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I'll tell you, man. I mean, the longevity piece, because you obviously are very young looking. And I believe, I mean, you and Jax, I mean, you guys are both very, very young looking. And I think that has a lot to do with the business. What do you think?
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, obviously, it keeps us social. We have to be, and the thing about it is, I'm an introvert. I'm an introverted guy, Daniel. Jax is an extreme extrovert. I'm an extreme introvert. But I know in business you can't be that way, right? When you need something and you want something, you got to get uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Daniel, it's uncomfortable when you do a call. I mean, it's uncomfortable because it's you, but it's I'm not the kind of guy that I'll go to the movies by myself, Daniel. I mean, that's just how I am. But I know there's something that's got to, you got to get out of that at some point. I think also just the idea of always going for something, never stopping, always going for something, always wanting more, and people say, aren't you satisfied yet? And I go, I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied. I just don't know if I mean, we do some cool things and have a lot of freedom, but there's always something else I want. There's some, and I'm not talking about material things. It's just I want to get to another level in everything. I want to get to another level as a dad. I want to get to another level as a husband. I want to get to another level as a leader. And the business helps us do those things. It really does. And like I said, there's always people that, we've got some great examples, Daniel, in our business. We've had some incredible mentors, you and I, man, people that have had a ton of success that have poured into us over years that, I see where it can end up, and like I said, I think the next 10 years now, my son, I see Mac, I say your son's in the business with you. My son just turned 18. He's a senior still, he's in the process of getting his license right now. I think about the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what's that going to look like? I mean, just working with your son and all this young guys right now, it's just finding the young guys that get it. That's the thing, man. Finding the young guys and girls that are willing to, you know what, man, I'm going to go give this thing everything I got. And I'm not going to get distracted, because that's where the biggest thing is with young people. They get distracted. Like, I live in Houston, Daniel, and it's about 3 hours to San Antonio. It's one road. I take I-10 from Houston to San Antonio is 3 hours. But if I start getting off on every exit, man, that trip can be a 5-6 hour trip. And that's what happens, man, with people. They know what they want, but they start getting off on the exits. They start getting distracted. And what takes them a year to do, then it's 2 years and 3 years pushes off. I think at 3 to 5 years, it's got to be almost an obsession, man, of getting where you need to be.
What advice would you give that brand new guy, right? So let's just say, we recruited this brand new guy, and he, this is his first day, right? He signed his paperwork. What do I do now, man? What do I do in the next 10 days,
right,
to make sure that I can kind of get some momentum and stay in long enough? Because I think you're right. I mean, we don't let our efforts have time to compound, right? We get in and then we get frustrated and then we just quit, versus letting ourselves, letting the efforts that we're putting in take some time to grow, So what would you do with that brand new guy?
Yeah, I would tell them they need to come in and learn the business. They really need to learn what this really is, that this is a real business, real licenses, I tell you, this isn't a gym. You're not joining me, you're partnering with me. I think that's a word that I've used the last couple of years, as partner. I go, you don't work with Primerica, you're partnering with Primerica. You don't work with me, we're partnering together. And I think people want to partner more than they do work. So that one word, Daniel, over the last couple of years has changed things, partnering with us. But they need to come learn how to sell, learn how to recruit, learn how to interview, learn how to present, and these may be some things that they're not used to doing, but there's the things they're going to have to do if they want to build this business anyway. Right. And I'm not afraid to turn some people off to turn them on. I'm not afraid to tell people, hey, listen, man, we need to build you a team of 3 to 5 agents, man. We need to get you a team of 5, 7 agents pretty quick here. Who have you worked with in the past? Who you like to work with again? And I'm not afraid to turn that person off, man, because if I turn them off, they're not going to do it anyway, right? They're not the right person. But I also don't want to hold back. I don't want to hold back. I mean, there's people out there that this is what they're looking for. I ask people, people go, well, what's it pay? How you pay? Go, well, how are you used to getting paid? Well, I'm used to getting paid salary. How's that work for you? I'm used to getting paid hourly. How's that work for you? I say, listen, has there ever been a time you wish you were in control of your income? Yeah, of course I have. Great. Well, the only way to be in control of your income is to take control of it and do something. So I think early on, if I got to get them plugged in quick. First 24, 40 hours, I need to be meeting with them. I still recruit, Daniel. I recruit people face to face. We don't really, I live in, a pretty big city, 7 million people. I don't need to go outside of Houston to build a business, man. I can do everything right here. And I just still think there's a lost art, man. I think it's a lost art, man. People meeting with people. I still pick up the phone and call people, and I think that's a lost art today that I think people who don't lose that, I think are going to have an edge, man, over the next few years.
Yeah, I think you're 1,000% right. And by the way, because of so much social media and because of so much technology, it's did you know that people are paying people just to go on walks with them. Like there are people now that they're like professional. I mean, not like, escorts or anything. I'm not talking about
right.
that, but I'm talking about like there's professional people that just like, they'll just talk to you. They'll just hang out with you and you pay them to do that. Now, I mean, thank God we don't have that problem.
Yeah, but it's unbelievable that that's where we've got to.
But that's where we're
that's
going,
where
man.
the social skills of people have got to that point where they're having to pay somebody to hang out with them.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that people are getting like technology fatigue.
Yeah,
and you're right, 1,000%, man. The people that stay social, the people that I just did a little RVP retreat, and I rented a big old giant house in Palm Springs, and we went out there a few days. We had catered dinner. We had we all went out to dinner together, and it was one of the most fun things that I've done in a long time.
right.
And just because we got to connect as friends, as business partners, and you love these people, right? I mean, we're not, and you're right. The right word is partners, man. They're my partners in business. I mean,
Right.
my business is not a business without a bunch of partners, without a bunch of people that want to make their life better too. We don't win unless we win together as a team. And I think that if we stay connected with people, if we meet, it's interesting because, I mean, obviously I've been kind of out of the game for a long, long time. I mean, I've been financially free for 22 years. I mean, my base is I let that go maybe 3 years ago, and I'm trying to rebuild it now with my son and everything. But I told Max the other day, I said, look, man, I said, we got to go see people. We got to go visit the people. And so one of my first appointments that I because usually I do things on Zoom. And so I just said, we're going to go. We drove an hour in traffic, and we get down to this house. And I swear to you, I'm not even kidding. I'm walking up, and this neighbor is not a very good neighborhood. And this house was so junky. It was so junky. It was like, and then you walked into the house, and the house was an absolute mess. Like it was turned upside down. I used the restroom, and it was so dirty. It was just so whatever. And then you know what happened, man, is that we sit down with the guy, and by the way, he lost his wife. Yeah. Maybe this is why some of it was not, but he lost his wife. So we're paying a death claim. And next thing you know, we're talking, and he's got $1 million just sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
And it's like, had I just been on Zoom, I don't know that I would have found the $1 million. Right. I don't know that he would have opened up to me. I don't know that he would have showed me everything. I mean, the guy was just talking my ear off. He was a veteran, and me and Max are just sitting there, just listening and just enjoying the conversation. This guy was pouring his heart out to us. But that was human. It gives me the chills even thinking about it right now. Like, that's human connection, man. We all need that.
And I think that's what makes us stand out. And I think the people who get that, Daniel, are going to stand out amongst the crowd over time. They really will, because that guy will refer you to he will introduce you to everybody he knows. But you think about going to a house like that. How many appointments we've been on like that? Hundreds of them. I mean, those first years, we go on hundreds of those appointments, not knowing where it's going to take us, but that's where we learned. That's where Max is going to learn right there. That's what he's going to learn, the business and what, what to expect, what not to expect, and so forth, And I think people who really get the relationship part of that, Daniel, I really believe they're going to stand out. And I think the ones that are going to stand out over the next couple of years, I really believe they're the ones that are going to build something to last. There's a lot of people building a house of cards right now. I really see things out there, and it's a house of cards. I think about this, man. What I'm doing right now, is it going to be here 3, 4, 5 years from now? What I'm doing right now, 12 months from now, is it going to be here? The system I'm putting in place, is it going to work a year from now? I didn't want to build this business on a house of cards. So many people are trying to live in houses they ain't built yet. and I think that, like I said, I just think, what you did there, like I said, guys got $1 million. I don't know if you'd have got that on Zoom. I mean, really, but he trusts you now. He
Oh
trusts you
yeah,
because
yeah.
you were there.
Absolutely, and he knows we care, right? He
Yeah.
knows we care about him. Again, we're sitting at another appointment last night, and they brought out $250,000. We found out they're getting a 0.29% rate of return. 0.29, less than 1%, and so that's another big chunk. And then they're talking about how their friend down the street just sold a business, got another $3 million.
Right.
And so there's another $3 million that they have access to.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they have no relationship with the guy, no relationship probably with the people managing their money now. At
zero.
2.3%, they have no relationship with them whatsoever.
Well, so and that's the challenge. Yeah.
It's going to be so, I say simple for you to get, because why? Now they trust you. I think that's, like I said, I'm raising high school kids right now, and I'm just trying to get them to understand that same message. Like I teach my kids to write handwritten notes to people, I teach my sons to call people, I'm so proud of my son. He just won homecoming king last weekend, man. I'm so proud of him. They're studs, man, but they're Primerica kids. They were raised on this, and I really believe they might not see it now, but they're doing things right now that are standing out, that I think by the time they're 23, 24, I think they're going to be so far ahead of everybody else. It's just like your kids, your two awesome kids you have, they stand out. I mean, they just do, just because the way they carry themselves, the way they've been brought up, the way they have, communicate with people. It's just, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
I was wondering, like, what type of people do you look for, when you're recruiting? So when you're just out and about, or you're making new friends, or you're building new relationships, or whatever, like, who do you look for? What are some of the traits of the best people that you see? Because you got 32 VPs, so you got a lot of successful people. So in that, process, what does a successful recruit look like?
Right. And I think, there's lots of things that you can say about it, and you don't know people really. Everybody, first couple impressions, you get something from them, but that really, you don't know who they are, right? I think character is such a big thing, but you got to build relationships, spend time with them to see who their character really is. Are they married? What kind of family they have? What kind of parents they have? What kind of spouse are they, and so forth. But we used to talk about, when I do a fast start plan with trying to get a new recruit off to a fast start, I always tell them we're looking for champs. We look for people who are competitive, hardworking, ambitious, motivated, and have people skills, right? But I think more importantly, within all those, I look for somebody that is serious about changing their life. If they're not serious about changing their life, there's nothing I can do to help them. When I recruit people, Daniel, I try to recruit people away from where they're at. I always ask them two questions. What do you like best about what you do? And what would you change about it if you could? I don't sell Primerica. I don't sell, it's just those two questions. What would you change if you could? And you think about what people would change. More money, be their own boss, control the promotions. Everything that people want to change, we can offer them. I really believe that. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never had someone tell me that they wanted to change something that we couldn't help them change. So I always recruit people to that. I recruit people to what they want to change, but if they're not serious about changing their life, there's nothing I could sell. There's nothing I could do. There's no examples I could show them that would get them motivated to do what they need to do. But somebody that's hungry, somebody that is, you sit down with a lot of guys that make it a couple $100,000, right? And you say it's hard to fill a full belly, right? But some of these guys make a couple $100,000, or just they're tied. They don't like their jobs. They want to do something different, but they're afraid to take that jump. They're afraid to make that move. And that's why I tell them, we're great with our business. Hey, listen, come here part-time. Let's see if this can even work, man. Come get your license. Let me train you a little bit. See if you make a little bit of money. Yep. Hey, if you can see the potential, then you can quit that job. But if somebody's not serious about changing their life, Dan, there's nothing you and I can do. You can bring them to your beautiful estate, man. I've been to your beautiful home before. You can build, and they still won't get them to do what they need to do if they're not serious about changing their life.
Yeah, it's wild. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I right when I come over my hill, I can just see the entire universe, like of lights. And it's just and I just remember the first time I saw that, I was like, I mean, it was a dream for me. I
Right.
mean, I don't know, man. I mean, and look, I mean, there's a lot of beautiful houses, look, a lot of people make money. There's a lot of people that
Right.
make money in this world. And I think that what I'm trying to do right now is get people to see that we're different. This is a different way to live. It's
Right.
not a normal way to live. And I think that what people have to understand is when you talk about making $1 million, uh, you make $1 million. I mean, it's I mean, obviously, you have write-offs and things like that, but let's be honest. I mean, you have built a business with very low overhead.
Right.
You do not have, a lot of employees. You do
Right.
not have inventory. You do not have overhead. You have an office, but you don't have, it's not like it's a, $20,000 a month corner spot in the city that you're paying for, that you got to go now make money to be able to cover the cost. I mean, look, it's wild to me to think like if a person, even that guy making 200 grand, he's not really making 200 grand because he's paying 50% in taxes. I
Right.
bet you probably pay less than 10% in
Yeah.
taxes because you understand the tax laws, you understand how to legally write things off, you have expenses. We do contests, we do, there's
Right.
lots of things that we do that create, lots of write-off opportunities. So from a tax perspective, from a business perspective, I don't know too many businesses that are better than ours, just
Right.
in the sheer fact that the kind of money that you can make and the kind of scaling. I mean, think about it. You scaled 32 locations. How much did it cost you to scale 32 locations?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. They
Zero.
run their own locations, and you hit something big there. Is I've got 22 vice presidents that make over $100,000 a year, Daniel, and I don't have to pay any of them. It's all paid through the company. I mean, think about that. There's there was one of the guys in our company said, his hierarchy was paid $3 million last month, and he didn't have to pay a single dollar of it to them. I mean, just it's sometimes when I explain our business, Daniel, to people, I almost, as I'm saying it, I'm like, they're not believing me because it
No, no,
sounds so good. It's
because
almost
it
like
doesn't. You almost don't even believe it yourself.
it is. I
Because
mean,
it doesn't make
even
sense.
as I say that, sometimes I'm like, man, this person thinks I'm full of it because it's wild, but I don't want to discount it because it really is how it is. I'm not going to not lie about it. I'm just saying this is how it really is. I mean, it's wild telling people, but when you talk to even business owners, sometimes I talk to business owners and they're like, that can't be like that. And I'm like, man, it really is. It really is.
So what's the catch, man? What's the catch? So that's what somebody's asking right now. All right, man,
Right.
this sounds good. Oh yeah, this Prime America thing, and I don't know, is it like a pyramid thing or a scam or what is it? And like, what's the catch? What really is
Yeah.
the catch? If we were just to be like totally, let's pull back the curtain, let's share the behind the scenes right now. No bullshit, no selling the dream, no fake BS, social media, whatever, right? Like, what is the catch?
Yeah, most people aren't the right people yet. They will be if they give it a shot. I think about, that we talked a lot about the first 3 to 5 years. Most people just aren't willing to do that. Most people tap out as soon as it gets tough. It is work. I mean, Jackson and I worked our asses off for 3 to 5 years. I mean, 12, 14-hour days, missing everything, no excuses, because we knew what we were trying to do. I mean, that's the difference. We knew what we were trying to do. We saw a picture of it in front of us, and most people they just stick their toe in it and think that it'll work, or they show up for a couple meetings and think that it will work. I go, man, they're never going to make it. I think the biggest thing that is, it's commitment. It's commitment and consistency. Those two things. Can you be committed to it, and can you be consistent with it? Those two things. And those two things, if you're not committed, not consistent, you're never going to make it. You know, and it ain't just this business, it's any business. It's any business whatsoever, you know, but it is. I think the business now is better than it ever been. I think I want it to be. I want my sons to take over this business. I look for the next 10, 20 years for them to be running this thing. And you think about, just think about, Daniel, your kids will take your business one day. If you make $1 million a year at a job, or any business, you can't just hand it over to your kids one day. I mean, in this business, you can't. Even as I'm saying this again, Daniel, it's like people think, okay, well, what's the catch? The catch is, you got to give it everything you got for 3 to 5 years, and most people ain't willing to do that. And to be honest with you, 3 to 5 years is free. I mean, you give it 12 to 24 months to get out of where you're at and start seeing it's 3 to 5 years to true freedom.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, I used to always think about it like this. I mean, I didn't graduate college, so I didn't have an education, and I figured that if I made no money my first 4 years with our company, I figured I would be on track. Like if I made no money, because all my friends were going to college and they were making no money, so what's the difference? I'm gonna put in 4 years. Now, again, the difference is I actually worked for 4 years.
Right.
Most people, they come here and they hang out at the country club for 4 years, and they don't actually work. And so for me personally, I said, you know what? I'm going to actually do everything in my power to treat this like a real business. And so, but the other thing is I'll say, because I want to be transparent with everybody and give, this is, if I were to pull back the curtain, one of the toughest parts of our business for me personally is been the relationships. It's the best part about our business, but it's the worst part about our business.
Right.
And I'll say this because, again, I really want to pull back the curtain. I want people to understand the good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever. And for me personally, it was like when that, regional vice president doesn't talk to you anymore, and we were friends and we were buddies and we hung out together every weekend, and we were building businesses together, and we no longer have a relationship anymore. Now, I still override them. They still make money. They still built the business. I mean, that's kind of a little side, nice part about our business, but it's the relationships, man, or somebody's with you for a while and you love them, you care about it, and they quit. They just all of a sudden quit. Not that I took it personal and was sad for days or anything like that, but it still hurts, man, right? We're still human. You still love these people. You still care about them. You still want them in your life somehow, connect, you want that connection. And so I think that's a piece of our business that a lot of people don't talk about. And, and I think that it's, when we look at the hard work that it takes and the discipline and the dedication, it's not a get rich quick scheme. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to tell people it's not a get rich quick scheme, but if you want to get rich, you could. It doesn't mean you can't get rich. You could totally get rich if you want to, very, very quickly, if you're the right person and you put in the right amount of effort. And I mean, there are people with big centers of influence. They'll come in this business. Like if I meet that guy that he knows everybody, right? He has relationships with everybody. He's the like the guy in the city where he talks to everybody, he has relationships with everybody. That guy comes into a business like ours, he'll make $1 million very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, he could. And I think the biggest challenge for me was wanting it for people more than they wanted for themselves. And I think that knocks a lot of people out. Kind of goes with what you're talking about, the relationship part. And I think like you said, it's not talked about enough, and it does hurt. You always, you never want to not have relationships with people, even though if you do override them and so forth. But when I see people that I go, man, I really love this guy. Man, I thought this guy could be great. This girl could be great. But man, when I start wanting it for them more than they want it for them, that's when it gets tough, because that's when the relationship gets kind of tough, because I might be trying to push them and they might not be wanting to move. and even though they've told me what they wanted, they told me want their life to change, everything else, and I know they can do it. I see they have it, but I've pushed a lot of people. I've lost a lot of people because I've coached them too hard. I just have, or coached them the wrong way. I coached them to not where they were. But I just always believe if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And I just try to challenge people, and I've lost a lot of people because I've challenged them. They just weren't ready. It wasn't their personality, whatever it was. But man, when you start wanting it for people more than they want it for themselves, man, that's tough on you. It's exhausting, man, and that can knock a lot of people out of the business.
Yeah, I'll just say that that's why I try to look for athletes. I try to look for people that have been coached tough before. Because for me, I came in the business, I was coached very tough, and they told me things that I didn't want to hear. And but they told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And that made all the difference for me. I mean, that really changed my life in a big way because I was able to be coached tough and continue on. Didn't take anything personal. I think if somebody's going to be successful here, look, if you're an athlete, if somebody's watching this, or you're thinking about going into business, you're in the Houston area, man, you hook up with David. I mean, he'll change. I mean, there's no question he'll change your life. But if you're an athlete, man, and you know how, you got a little bit of mental toughness in you, you will make a lot of money here. You will be very, very successful here because you're willing to go through the things. You're willing to kind of, it's like I played football when I was in high school, and, you went through hell. We used to call it Hell Week. I don't know if they call it that anymore. Probably not. It's probably not politically correct now, but
they're not allowed to do it.
Yeah. They're not allowed to say Hell Week anymore. But I mean, it was Hell Week, man. I mean, that was like people were throwing up and people were, passing out, and it was like hardcore. You're doing it. And not that our business is like that, but the truth is that when somebody tells you no, I mean, people take it like that painful. I mean, it's like, who cares? You take the no and you keep moving forward. And that's where mental toughness, I think, comes in. It steps in and starts playing a huge part. And so, if you're an athlete, man, you have a huge advantage to becoming very, very successful in your life. And so I don't know. What do you think?
They're just used to the grind. They're used to putting in the work, I mean, but it goes back to athletes. It goes back, they got goals. They're trying to get somewhere. There's something they're trying to win. They haven't settled. I think there's so many people today have settled. They settle into a job that they don't like, and they're afraid to take the risk, go do something else or give something else a shot. But I think there's a group of people out there that do have that dog in them, man. I really do. I believe they've got that dog in them, that they're not afraid. They are, ruthless. Just like you said, you talk about the guy, I recruited two guys one time. I recruited a guy who very successful, was in charge. Houston has a huge rodeo every year. This guy was in charge of the rodeo committee. So, I mean, he had like so much credibility, everything else. Wouldn't go and sit down with a single person, wouldn't set a single appointment with any of them. And then I recruit an 18-year-old guy the same day who will take me to 10 people. You just never know, man, right? The 18-year-old was hungry. The 40-year-old wasn't. As simple as that. The 18-year-old wanted something more. The 40-year-old didn't. The 18-year-old didn't care what people thought about him. The 40-year-old was too worried about what people would think about him. Right? You can't care what people think about. You can't care if people think. If you talked, I think you said it earlier about people take it personal. If you're going to take things personal, man, leadership is not for you, right? We've heard that a lot. Leadership is for somebody that's not willing to that is willing to get uncomfortable. You're not willing to be liked all the time. We all want to be liked, but as a leader, you're not going to be liked all the time. It's just part of it, But I also know if they listen to him, it's like a personal trainer, right? I've had personal trainers before, and I woke up at 6:00 in the morning to go work for him. I would go work. I didn't want to go do it, whatever it may be. Here's what I found. A personal trainer don't care whether or not I want to be there or not, right? I'm cussing them on the way there, everything else. They just know that if I show up, it's going to be worth it, right? They don't care if I say, they don't care my personal trainer did not get his feelings hurt. Right. He just knew that if I did what he told me, I'd love him. right? I think in leadership, I just believe if people do what they are supposed to do and what they want to do and what they need to do, they're going to end up loving you, right? It's the ones that aren't willing to do the work that take it personal, and they're the ones that the relationships end up getting crushed.
Biggest mistake, man. What's a mistake that you made in your career so far?
Man, I think, I've made a million mistakes. I really have a million mistakes, and I regret some of them. Some of them I don't regret whatsoever. But man, I wish I would have, like you said, kept relationships with people a little bit stronger. I wish I expected everybody, Daniel. And like I said, we came and went from 3,000 a month to 30,000 a month in a year. I expected everybody to do that, and knowing that not most people aren't going to do that. But the mistake I made was expecting that people were going to do, expecting that people were going to grind the way we were going, expecting that people were going to pay the price that we paid. And I had to understand financial independence is different to everybody. Some people, they make 10 grand a month, they're good. That's financial independence. They're free, 10 grand a month. Some people, 10 grand a week, right? Financial independence is different to everybody. I had to understand that and accept that not everybody was going to do it the way I did it. Not everybody was going to work and put in what we put in. And when I started to understand that, I had a better relationship with people. I lost a lot of people just because I challenged them too much or whatever it is. As crazy as that might sound, challenged too much, but they just weren't willing to pay the price. They weren't willing to do it. I had a guy one time. He's one of my closest guys, and he was making like 200 grand a year. And I was all over this guy going, man, you can make 400, 500, 600 grand a year. What are you doing? And Jax finally had to pull me back and go, listen, he's making twice as much as he made at his job. He hangs out with his kids every single day and do that. He was living his dream. Does that make sense? And I expected everybody to live my dream for them. But when I made that shift, man, my relationships got better with people. So.
I love that, man. Great story. I don't know, man. I'm so excited that we got to talk today. I mean, you are just, you're one of those special human beings that you're, number one, you're honest. Number two, you tell it like it is. Number three, you're willing to do what's necessary. You're not a victim. You don't have a victim mentality. Oh, poor me, or poor, it's like, that's why I think that you guys made it. And I've always been impressed by you guys. I've always thought of you guys as some of the best of the best of the best in our company. And I thank you for your leadership, man. I really thank you for hanging with me. What I want to do though, is I want to invite everybody to find you. So I know, give us your Instagram. What is your Instagram?
Yeah, it's D Farmer Crew, okay. D Farmer Crew at Instagram right there. Right. And we'll send that out. I'll get that to you as well. You can post up,
Okay. All right.
Daniel, it's been an honor, man. I love, spending time with you, hanging with. I mean, we've known each other for 20 years, man. And just, as we're wrapping up here, I just want to tell a quick story how I met you, man. It just says, just so your listeners and everybody follows you, knows who you are. Man, I was brand new in the business, and we had just moved to Texas. And when we moved to Texas, we were brand new vice presidents, and the storms had just hit Texas back then. And we had to get out of Houston. So we went to California, visit some family out there, and went to Disney. And we were at Disney, and I saw you. And I didn't know you. I knew who you were in the business, right? And I'm like, and you were at the front we were in line for a ride. You were at the front. Jackson and I were all the way in the back. I said, that's Daniel Alonso, man. And you were with your family. And I said, I'm going to go introduce myself. And I can remember I went all the way to the front of the line and introduced myself. Hey, Daniel, I'm David Farmers, my wife, Jax. We're new vice presidents. And you said, what are you doing in Cali? I said, well, the hurricane's hitting Houston right now. We had to come out here for a few days. And we just kind of introduced each other. And then I went back and you went on the ride. And we waited in line for 30, 40 minutes. And when we got off the ride, Daniel, you were there waiting for me. And I'll never forget it. You were like, hey, do you need anything? Do you need a place to stay? Do you need any money? I mean, Daniel, you didn't know me from anybody, man. I was a nobody in this business. And I'll never forget that, Daniel. I've been a Daniel Alonso fan for a long time. So, dude, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your leadership for all these years. Just looking up to you, man, and just congratulations to where you're at right now, man. You are changing people's lives, man. And Jackson and I are just so happy for you.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, man. I'm getting emotional here because I just I mean, it's been a long time since you told that story, but
Well, it's just who you are, man. I want people to know who you really are, man.
It's just crazy, though. I mean, it's just crazy, like, to think that, how our paths met, and you guys were just getting started and just kind of getting going, and to see you erupt into one of the greats, and I see you guys all over the commercials and all over the magazines and, and it's just, you really are such an icon of success and real success, not just, making $10 million a year, but a real success. Like, you got a great family, and you got great kids, and you got a great business, and you got freedom, and so I'm just really proud of you guys, and I've always been a farmer fan, all right, so as well, and I always will be. So, and I'm always here for you, and the next hurricane, that, man, you come stay at my house, okay?
It means the world to me, Daniel. Thank you so much.
I love you guys, and if I'm in Texas, I'm staying on your couch, okay?
So I hope so, man. I got a spot right here for you, man.
Yeah, you got a beautiful, beautiful home out there, man. So, hey, look, the last thing I just want to remind everybody to go and reach out to David. Go to his Instagram, hit him up, just say hello, just, send him a little DM and say, hey, I saw you on Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo, and ask him, like, if you're in the business, give him a congratulations. If you're not in the business, maybe ask him for a conversation, or ask him, hey, can we talk? Or, especially if you're within his area, or you're, whatever, maybe you just want to learn from him. Maybe you just want to ask him a question. I'm sure he'll answer anybody's questions. And I really want you to connect with him some way and let him know. And then last but not least, I just want to make sure that if you haven't gotten my new book, it's called Why Most Life Insurance is a Scam and How to Get It Right. It is really the Bible of life insurance. And I hope you go out and get it. I hope you share it with your teams. I hope you guys, really learn from it and use it as a third-party piece of material that you can share with your clients. It's not company biased, or it's not company based. It's really just all of the facts and figures of the industry, and kind of exposing all the lies that the industry has been telling us for all these years, and why still, like, 80% of all life insurance that is sold right now is trash value life insurance, because nobody knows any better. Nobody's being taught. We're getting taught by guys on TikTok that are talking about IULs and things like that. And it's just a disaster. And I just want to make sure people are educated. So please make sure you go out, check out my new book, make sure you review it on Amazon. And with that said, continue to dream bigger than ever, get after it, but most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top. Thanks, David.
Appreciate you.